The ERi-TV news broadcast crew and I, Delegate Tahaya, are now ready for your daily news briefing at 10:30 local time. But first, let us catch up with the major headlines. Senior Eritrean delegation on working visit to Italy. Monetary and material support to families of martyrs. North Korea reacts to U.S. nuclear stunt. And Israeli airstrikes target Syrian capital. On our local news, the senior Eritrean delegation composed of Mr. Osman Saleh, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Presidential Advisor Mr. Yamane Gabrab, who is on a working visit in Italy, met and held talks with senior Italian officials. The delegation today met and held talks with Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Mr. Antonio Tajani, focusing on boosting bilateral ties in priority and education, health, energy, agriculture, manufacturing, infrastructure, trade, and investment. The two sides also agreed to cooperate in fostering peace and stability and development in the Horn of Africa. The senior delegation also met with Minister of Universities and Research, Senator Anna Maria Barnini, and discussed on cooperation in higher education and research based on Eritrea's priority and area of advanced Italian capabilities. The meeting was attended by Mr. Fsahatun Petros, Eritrean ambassador to Italy. Nationals inside the country and abroad extended financial and material support in support of families of martyrs and the argument the Martyrs Trust Fund. Accordingly, 94,500 nakfa and 120 goats extended by the government employees and administrators in the Gassab zone was dispersed to 63 families of martyrs and disadvantaged citizens in the subzone. Noting that supporting the families of martyrs is a responsibility of every citizen, Mr. Hamed Ila, administrator of the subzone, expressed appreciation for the initiative the government employees and area administrators took. And in the same vein, the Eritrean community in Bahrain contributed 12,750 riyals towards augmenting the National Martyrs Trust Fund. Vocational training ranging from 1 to 3 months were organized for 333 youth in the Ginda subzone. The training included social science, still and video cameras, editing, as well as first aid. At the conclusion of the training organized on 13 July, Mr. Salahuddin Ali, the National Union of Eritrean Youth and Students in the subzone, said that the training program was part of the effort developed in the vocational capacity of the youth and called on the trainees to upgrade their skills and acquired through the training and improve their livelihoods. Members of the administration staff of the Office of the Assistant Chief and staff at the Ministry of Defense voluntarily contributed 132 units of blood with the view of saving lives with their renewable blood, indicating that the members have been voluntarily donating blood twice a year since 2012. Captain Gazai Mesfin, coordinator of the program, said that he will regularly continue to the program. Captain Gazai also called on other staff members of the Ministry of Defense to follow the noble example and contribute their blood with a view to enriching the blood supply of the health facilities. Dear viewers, we will be back with the international news shortly. Just stay tuned. Welcome back. Pyongyang's latest weapon test comes one day after the U.S. nuclear missile submarine docked the South Korean for the first time in 4 decades. North Korea has fired 2 ballistic missiles into the Sea of Japan, putting on another display of the strategic weaponry aimed, raising the nuclear tension with Washington. The 2 missiles were launched early on Wednesday from the Sunyan area northwest of Pyongyang and traveled 550 to 600 kilometers before falling into the Sea of Japan, known as the East Sea by the two Koreas, according to Japanese and South Korean military statements. They rose to an altitude of 50 kilometers. The latest test comes just one day after the USS Kentucky docked the Busan, marking the first port-called peninsula in the U.S. nuclear ballistic missile submarine since 1980s. The Ohio-class submarine can carry up to 20 Trident II D5 intercontinental missiles. A new wrinkle was added to the tension on Tuesday when the U.S. soldier voluntarily dashed across the border in the Northern Korean while the orientation tour at a joint security areas in Ponjum. On our last news, air defenses responded to missiles in the vicinity of Damascus. Air defenses around Damascus were activated early on Wednesday in order to repel the missile attack from Israel, as the Syrian agency SANA has reported. An Israeli missile attack targeted several sites in the vicinity of Damascus, SANA said, quoting Syrian military sources. The attack began about 25 minutes after midnight, with missiles coming into the direction of the occupied Golan Heights. The Syrian area defense intercepted in the missile and shot down most of them, the NASA source said, but the one that has got through resulted injury in 2 soldiers and some property damage. The Israeli Defense Force does not comment on the attack, in line with long-standing policy of not discussing operations conducted outside the country. Israeli warplanes have repeatedly bombed targets inside Syria over the past decade, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu once acknowledged that there have been hundreds of strikes. On a rare occasion in IDF comments on attack, they have claimed to be hitting Iranian and Hezbollah targets in a preemptive self-defense operation against Tehran, growing influence in Syria. Damascus has repeatedly complained in the raid as a violation of the Syrian sovereignty and international law to little effect. Dear viewers, we have come to the end of tonight's news. Let's have a quick recap of the headlines. Senior Eritrean delegation on working visit to Italy. Monetary and material support to families of martyrs. North Korea reacts to the U.S. nuclear stunt. Israeli airstrikes target Syrian capital. We have come to the end of our local and international news. Our dear viewers, thanks for joining us and have a good night.